I grew up in Kingsville, so I'm a native of this area. And when I was in high school in the late 70s, I got involved with the Arts Center. First as an audience member, attending Straw Hat Theater when it was down at Walnut Beach, and I just loved the shows I saw. And the year between high school and college, I was in my first production. It was West Side Story, and directed by Joyce Anderson, who was the drama teacher at Edgewood, and had just a tremendous experience there. And through West Side Story, our choreographer was Jan Hyatt, who ran the dance program here at the Arts Center. Had a modern dance focus, and actually she had been coming into Edgewood one day a week the previous 2 years while I was in high school, doing movement classes for us and choreographing the high school musicals at Edgewood. So that's kind of, I knew I was very interested in theater, and that's how I got my start here. And then I worked 2 more summers at Straw Hat in a couple of shows. I was in a couple and helped direct one. And that's the whole start of how I really thought about being in the arts as a career. And very early on I realized it would be in management because I didn't have much artistic ability, but a great appreciation.
So where did you go from there? Did you get a degree in?
I did. I went to Ohio State, got an undergraduate degree in theater. My first job was with the Ohio Arts Council, working with performing arts organizations and presenting organizations all over the state and touring artists. And at the same time, a friend of mine who was a little older than I was at Ohio State, who I knew from classes there, we started the theater company in Columbus in 1984. It's called CATCO, which stood for Contemporary American Theater Company, and it's the largest and oldest professional theater in Columbus now.
So how did you find out about this position? Were you happy where you were, and then all of a sudden you...
It was very serendipitous. My contract with the coalition had come to an end, and my father was in very poor health. He's been in the Ashtabula County nursing home, and we knew he probably didn't have a whole lot of time left. My brother and I might have to deal with selling his house. And since my one work opportunity was coming to an end and I wasn't sure what was happening next, I thought that was a good time to come home. And at the same time, my brother is a great friend of Arnie Yester's, and Marco Vineyard was out there, and Arnie's a great friend of the Ashtabula Arts Center. And he said something to my brother, well, does Lori know that the Arts Center's looking for someone? And my brother texted me and said, "You want to hear more?" I said, "Yes." And Arnie emailed me the job description, and I applied for it. Literally drove back and was interviewed the next day and got the job. So I have to believe, to a certain degree, it was meant to be. I had an extra 2 months with my father, who passed away just 2 weeks ago. And I had a place to live, which is wonderful. So I have to think that for some reason the stars were aligning.
Worked out very well.
In a very unusual way. My mother, who's been gone for 14 years, she always said, "Oh, wouldn't it be wonderful if you could get a job at the Arts Center?" And but for 28 years, Beth has held that position and done it so very well, and it's such a privilege to follow someone who's had such an incredible legacy there.
How has it changed since you were a high school student?
No, it's much bigger. I think when I was last here, I think that they just had a much more, I'm pointing, a smaller performance space that didn't really have wings, or you couldn't do a whole lot there except dance a little. So, it's much huger. You have the big, beautiful theater, the dance studio, and of course Straw Hat's up here now instead of on the beach.
I remember that when it was at the beach.
So certainly. I'm also, because I've lived so many other places in so many large cities and have had the privilege of working with extraordinary artists and community leaders all over the country, I come back here though and I see this as such a jewel and such an extraordinary resource in this county. And I think sometimes people still might not know about it, or B, have taken it for granted. That I think most communities this size don't have something this extraordinary in terms of the space and in terms of the artists and the leadership that exists here. And so I hope, since I'm new, so to speak, I could be a big mouth about some of that things, just to help remind people of what's here, perhaps introduce it to some folks who are unaware of it. So I think it's just, telling our story as best we can and helping people understand that this is really worthy of their philanthropic dollars. It's worthy of their volunteer time. It's worthy of them taking classes and enriching their own lives through the arts. We have about a $600,000 budget annually, and a fiscal year that goes from July to June. We are just coming at the end of our membership fund drive, and that's where individuals become members of the center. That allows them to get discounts to some of our classes, and there are a couple benefits that come with that. Their name in our newsletter, and for larger gifts, perhaps they'll get a coupon for tickets to the shows. So there's some great opportunities there. And then again, we seek funding. The State Arts Council has been a supporter of ours for a very long time. And local foundations like the Ashtabula Foundation and the Morrison Foundation have been very important supporters to us.
You're talking about economic development. And have you noticed, or perhaps it's too early in your time here, businesses, industries, chambers of commerce using the Arts Center as a hook, as something else to bring new business, new industry to the area?
I've been online and looking at a lot of things. It's still very early in my tenure to remark upon that. I looked though at my national experience when I worked with Americans for the Arts in Washington. I've learned that the arts and cultural organizations can be a very big player in economic and community development. And I want to make sure that Ashtabula County and our region ensures that the Arts Center is a big part of that the arts are part of cultural tourism. We look at things like the wonderful assets in the community, like Lake Erie and the wineries and the covered bridges and the wonderful agricultural community we have. Well, the arts fit into all of that. And certainly national statistics show that cultural tourists stay longer and spend more money in communities. So when we're working with the tourism folks, hopefully, especially in the summer, that our theater offerings are part of that package. So we think that could be very important. And we want to partner with other historical societies and museums that are in the area, whether it's the Antique Engine Club or the Underground Railroad Museum. These are all things that fit under the broad rubric of arts and culture. And I would like to think that the Arts Center would be a leader in that, in working with that aspect of the community as we try to retain and attract more visitors and residents to Ashtabula County.